Okay, so I'm convinced that racially ambiguous people have superpowers, especially when traveling abroad. Okay, so let me explain. First, before I talk about that, I want to explain to you just what is being racially ambiguous. Okay, am I just hitting you with like a $10 word? Okay, so racially ambiguous is basically someone that you can't tell what race they are, and that's me. Okay, this really I used to see it a lot when I was in the States, where people would speak to me a lot in different languages or give me like these stares, and like they think they know me and stuff like that. But man, it's like a whole nother level when you're overseas. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll tell you 10 things that I like about traveling, being racially ambiguous. So number one, so of course I blend in everywhere and then kind of nowhere at the same time. So what I mean by that is, depending on the country, people assume that I'm local, okay, or I'm mixed with a different tribe, from a neighboring country, something like that. So they think I'm some type of local mixed person, or just one of them. So it's kind of it's kind of like a low key superpower. You unlock stealth traveler mode. No tourist radar, no stairs. So it's pretty cool because sometimes when I go places, I can kind of blend in really well in the crowd, and until I speak, people can't really tell, um, in a lot of different countries, where I'm from. They just think, they assume I'm a local person. Number two, I get different names in every country. So let's say when I'm in Kenya, they'll say, I look Ethiopian. Or I'm in Ethiopia, they'll say I look like I'm Somalian or I'm Arab. When I'm in Ghana, I'm definitely Fulani. When I'm in Mexico, I'm Afro Latino. When I'm in the U.S., good Lord, sheesh. In the U.S., I'm Dominican, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Hispanic. It all depends on like what region I'm in. I've been Egyptian, like I said, Dominican, Puerto Rican. Uh, some think I'm some version of like the Mombasa area of Kenya. It's like having a global identity starter pack. Yeah, it's really something. Number three, people tell me secrets that they wouldn't tell other tourists. Okay, so when you look racially undefined, people start whispering the real cultural tea. They'll tell you like the real prices, the real neighborhoods, the real issues, the real slang. It's like being given the Wi-Fi password to the culture. I can tell you a crazy story. I remember, this is years ago. I know this is not an international story, but sort of is, because I used to live in Miami. So I remember I was looking at renting an apartment in Miami. And so this lady, she was like someone that's like a leasing agent, right? She was like, yeah, this area is great. It's not a lot of blacks. And I was thinking to myself, like, what? Yeah, it's more like, our people. And I was thinking, like, this lady doesn't think I'm black? Like, so she's just like going on about like black people and, like not wanting to live near them and all that stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you don't think I'm black, right? And then I had another incident. This is where, ironically, I went to an HBCU, and I remember I had to do like volunteer work. So went to a school, and they're like, okay, like it was kind of like an interview. They're like, okay, so you want to volunteer here? Okay, so you need volunteer hours, service hours. That's what they called it. Okay. And I said, what school do you go to? And I told him the name of the school, and he was like, why do you go there? Right? It was an HBCU. And I was like, why not? And it was like, that's a black college. I said, yeah, I'm black. This guy said, no, you're not. I was like, yes, I am. He was like, no, you're not. You're Hispanic. And I was like, what the heck? It's a trip, man. Like, it's real. It's real out there. All right. On to number 4. Locals test me to see if I speak the language. Okay, so they'll walk up to me and they'll just fire off, Mambo or Jumbo boss or Habari, right? And when I actually, respond correctly, their respect doubles instantly, and you get the okay. So he's not new here, you get that badge, So, but I'll tell you what, so many times, man, people will just come up to me and they start firing off in the local language. And even like if I'm with like other foreign people, they just like assume that I'm like the tour guide or something, right? It's crazy. Man, it's crazy. And then when I don't speak the language, it is so confusing to them. All right, so number 5, I could move, between groups easily. So, being, racially ambiguous, travelers, they get access to, immigrant communities, local communities, other expats, travelers, business circles. It's like being a cultural Swiss Army knife. Yeah, it's something. And then number 6, people assume I understand their struggle. Okay, and honestly, it makes conversations deeper. People talk to you like, you get it, you're one of us, right? So, it creates faster friendships, better connections and more trust, as long as I shut my mouth, right? And then next, number 7, vendors don't automatically tourist tax me. So this is good, right? You also get a discount vibe even without asking. They hesitate, like they look at you, they squint like they're trying to read your DNA. Then they offer you the maybe he's local price, right? So that's the benefit of that. Number 8, people try guessing my nationality like it's a game show, right? So, they're invested. To them, I'm from Sudan. No, try again. Okay, you're from Eritrea. Try again. You're from Brazil. Egypt. Man, I get it all. So, it becomes a whole entertainment piece, wherever you go. And then number 9, it teaches you how flexible identity really is. So, when you travel while being racially ambiguous, you realize that race, it's not global. It's not a global identity. It's not fixed. When people project what they know, you learn to adapt, observe, and move with intention. And lastly, you become the definition of culturally fluid. You don't just visit a place, you merge and you blend and you fit in without performing. Travel, becomes smoother, richer, more immersive. Yeah, so that's what it is, man. For those that are checking out my channel for the first time, I'm Expat D. I'm a traveler. I've been to over 35 different countries. I've been traveling since, on and off since 2002. So I've been to a lot of countries several times, and I love, I'm all about, expanding your horizons and traveling. I've been living outside of America for the past, well, it's been 7 out of 8 years consecutively I've been abroad. So if you're interested in that type of content, this is travel season coming up for me within the next couple of weeks. So I got a lot of content, man, that I gotta get things popping here, man. It can't just be me here just talking in front of the screen, which I love that too. I know you guys want to see more like interactive, boots on the ground type stuff, and that's coming. Anyway, I'm Expat D, man. Like, share, subscribe. If there's a country that you want me to check out, man, let me know. Let me know in the comment section, and I'll consider it. All right. So thanks a lot if you made it to the end of the video. Peace and I'm out.